Hello, and welcome to another segment of Como Life, brought to you with generous support from the Legacy Foundation. My name is Ariel. I'm one of the horticulturalists here at Como Park Zoo and Conservatory. And today my topic is show change in the Sunken Garden. Now, all gardens here at Como are unique, dynamic spaces that are changing all the time. Plants are living, growing, flowering. So hopefully you've been here before and seen these gardens. However, this garden among all of our gardens is the one that changes the most because 5 times a year we host a new flower show. The flower show that we're installing today is the Winter Flower Show, and this process of removing the old flower show and installing the new one takes about a week. So today's Como Live, I'm going to walk you through that process and tell you a little bit about how that happens. So it takes about a day for us to remove the old flower show. So if you were here last month, you saw the holiday show full of poinsettias. That show came out, and then the process of trimming those tall Italian cypress began. We had to put up orchard ladders and remove stray fronds of foliage and shape those trees. Pretty tricky to get the ladders oriented to the right direction to get to the very top of those trees. So that process, and then the process of adding soil to the bed, was what we worked on Monday. And this is the only garden I've ever worked in where we use plastic shovels to do that. The reason for that is that unlike your gardens at home, this one has a heating system underneath, and we don't want to damage that heating system, so we use these shovels when we're digging and adding soil to the beds in order not to puncture those pipes. The heating system's purpose is to warm up the roots on some of our flower shows. The poinsettias really like having that bottom heat, so we have the bed soil temps really toasty warm for those plants. And then we lowered the temperatures in those beds a little bit for this winter show, and we'll turn off the heat system completely for the spring flower show. So depending on which flower show it is, there's a whole lot of programming and behind the scenes things that need to happen during show change to really set us up for a successful flower display. For those of you who wanted a sneak peek at the soil, this is what that looks like. It's a mixture of peat moss and rock wool, so it's not actual dirt like you would garden with at home. There's no compost in here. And we'll add up to a whole bale of soil during these show change weeks. So we shovel it into buckets and cart it in here to top off the beds. Now, after all that prep work is done, it's a very inviting room for the planting to start. We use a map of the flower show that looks like this to help keep us really organized and know where each of the plants in the room is going to go. So every one of these colorful circles is representing a plant that goes into the flower show, and to keep us on track to make sure we don't use too many, we have an inventory on the back of the map listing out exactly how many plants of each variety we need for each side of the room, and if there's any extras. Because even with the plan here, once we start to lay out the show, we might decide that some area needs a little bit more color, or maybe we have too much of a color in one area. So that's a plan, but our hearts and observations during show change will dictate whether or not it turns out exactly like we planned it. Could be even better. So most of the planting is finished today. We're in the home stretch where we're doing a lot of the detail work, finishing off the pots and the urns and elevator boxes. And then we're going to do a deep clean to get the floors and walls free from dust and debris that got kicked up during our show change. And then the other really important thing that we do is we go through and we add plant labels to all of the stuff that's on display. Because we are a public garden, we want people to come here and be inspired by the beautiful gardens, but also learn a little bit about plants. And we have a lot of curious guests who want to know, what was that lily that they saw in the winter flower show, or what's that tall plant that's blooming right now? So if you tune in a few weeks, we're going to have another Como Live where we really get into what all of the different plants are that are featured in this flower show. But we hope you can come and see it in person if you're able to, and look for those labels if you want to know what the plants are that you're enjoying. This room is going to be really fragrant in a few weeks when some of these flowers open fully for the flower show. Now this flower show is a 2-month-long flower show. It's going to be changing a little bit over time, and there will be some maintenance happening, so we'll get into that next time. I wanted to also let you know what's coming up next. I couldn't give you a sneak peek of the plant material that's in our next flower show because it's primarily tulips and daffodils, which are in a cooler right now. And those ones are experiencing their cold dormancy. So when you come after the winter flower show, expect to see a beautiful spring show full of tulips, daffodils, and hydrangeas. So 5 flower shows a year. We hope you don't miss a single one. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Como Live, and enjoy your afternoon.